Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how to tighten and rosin the bow. So in a previous video we talked about how to scratch the surface of rosin to make it come to the surface, and then we can actually put the powdery stuff that's on top onto the bow hairs. So the very first time you get your bow, you're going to put on quite a bit of rosin compared to ongoingly as once you have a coat on there. So let me give you an example. So take the back of your finger and swipe it kind of towards the bottom area of the hair. Now if you notice, it's extremely smooth. Extremely smooth. Most likely it's a brand new bow and you're going to need quite a bit of rosin. So in that case, what you're going to do is put a coat on. Now make sure you kind of dig into it. Don't be afraid, you're not going to break the hairs. Go back and forth. I would say for about a minute to 2 minutes for sure. And kind of just working in each area of the bow so it's got a even coat. And you want to do that for at least 1 to 2 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer the first time. So if it's a brand new bow, it definitely needs the rosin, 2 minutes worth. Now once you have that coat on there, what you're probably only going to need to put rosin on maybe once every 3 to 4 practice sessions. In that case, you only probably need to put on about 5 to 10 seconds worth of rosin. Just like that. So very, very important. Next thing we're going to talk about is how to tighten your bow and how tight to have for storing and for actually playing the violin. So I did talk about in a previous video the button, which is used to tighten and loosen the bow. So when you put the bow back into the case, you always want it to be loose. Notice how the hairs are kind of dangling a little bit. That's how you want it to be stored. It's pretty much touching the stick, the hairs. Now when we're ready to play with the bow, we're going to twist it to the right, the button, and notice that the hairs are starting to get tighter. Right about there is how tight you want it. Now if it was like this, notice how the stick is almost straight and there's quite a wide gap there. This is too tight. This can actually damage the bow if you store it, especially like this. You definitely don't want it that tight. Now a good way to tell exactly how tight you want it to play, I'm going to grab my violin. When you're playing back and forth, what you want is the hairs barely not to touch the stick. So if you have a huge gap in between the hair and the stick when playing the violin, it's too tight. On the other hand, if the hairs are touching the stick, like this, that's too loose. So you got to get that fine medium to where you're just getting really close to it, but not all the way. So very important concept with rosining the bow and with tightening the bow. So hope you understand that now, and then you can move on to the next lesson.